Peace, peace. It's Brother Faheem, and you are now tuned in to the Lead with Logic podcast. Hey, you know the vibes. Peace, peace. What's going on, good people? Welcome back. Welcome back to another great episode of the Lead with Logic podcast. I'm your most gracious and humble host, Brother Faheem. Listen, man, like I always say, life moves at such an ultramagnetic pace. I try to keep my boots laced so that I can win the race. And I hope you guys are doing the same, right? Hope y'all moving at the same pace. Listen, another Monday. We made it, y'all. Another Monday. Hopefully, it wasn't too blue for you and you out there doing what you got to do. Yeah, just having a little fun with the words. So much going on, so much drama always in the world. It's something always going on in the world, man. Never short of content, never short of content. Man, I try to stay with my pulse, my ear to the people, man, to the ground, right? I try to keep the pulse of the people real close, right? So that I can see what's going on. Even though Marvin's gone, I try to see what's going on. Peace, peace. I see you. I see you. What's going on? Yes, yes. Peace, peace. Yes, yes, yes. Miss Thomas, Fika Coffee. What's going on, Queens? I appreciate y'all. Let me do this, right? Do this right here. A new feature that we got. Yeah, nice commenters. The people that come on in and comment. I appreciate you. I'm gonna show y'all some love. Hey, you talk to me, I talk right back. You dig? Talk black to me, I'll talk black right back. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. That's the homie. That's the queen. Two of the queens, right? The good sister, Miss Thomas, and then also Fika K Fika. That's my sister. She has a coffee brand. It's the dopest, most elite, most supreme coffee bean you ever have seen. Y'all going over to Fika Fika Coffee. You dig what I'm saying? It's very, very good, very delicious, and she has some conversations, coffee and conversations. He has all that on the way. It's totally dope. It's totally amazing. It's totally soulful how she amalgamates and compiles that all together to bring such a blacktastic product. Y'all make sure y'all check her out. Fika Coffee. But yeah, so I like to tell people it's just two of us. We're an army of three, and I guess that's the way it's gonna be for right now. I like to tell people, what I like to do is I take the controversial, the mundane, and the sensational, and through objective data, right? Not just emotion, not just my personal experience, but through books, literature, uh, peer-reviewed journals, articles, you know, internet, internet databases, documentary clips. I now extract the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding from all of these places, so that we can now live life in 3D and we can enhance our enlightenment, right? Really critical thought, right? Emphasizing critical thought, right? Promoting literature, promoting intellect, right? And Leave with Logic is a brand. It's three things to me. It is a brand, a saying, and a podcast, right? It's a brand, a saying, and a podcast. Now, the brand works like this. If you head on over to absolutely, we could always, if you head on over to www, in fact, I'm gonna put it in the comments, www.leadwithlogic7.com. Again, that's leadwithlogic7.com, right? It's gonna be up on the screen. www.leadwithlogic7.com. You can go on over there, grab you your hats, your hoodies, and your tees, and whatever else it is that you please. Man, I always encourage us to shop with our own, right? You have to go to your brother, man, before you even think about patronizing the other man. You dig? That's how we keep the dollars circulating and the love and the soul too. So it's right there on the screen for y'all. www.leadwithlogic7.com. Also, Big Wise, I see you. I see you. Yes, yes. That's the brand, right? That's where you can get the gear and get behind the movement, right? It's a saying. Each letter in Lead with Logic means something, right? I'm gonna put it back up there for y'all. Lead with Logic. It stands for this. Y'all buckle up. Letting enlightenment and divinity win in this harsh level of God's infinite creation, right? That's lead with logic, letting enlightenment and divinity win in this harsh level of God's infinite creation. Yeah, that's what lead with logic is. That's what it means. That's what I came up with. That's what the divine inspired me to give to you all, right? And so y'all are now rocking out with the podcast every Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, same bat channel. We be on here rocking out like some rock stars. You dig? Talking black and really breaking things down, analyzing things. You know, some moon stars like Elroy Jetson. Ain't that what Doughboy sent on Boys in the Hood? So yeah, that's what I do, man. That is exactly what I do. Now, I also implore people. I have a little bit of a request for you guys that are watching. Look, wherever you at, wherever you are, do this favor for me. If you are watching on Facebook, please post it on your page, send it on the DM, get the people in here. The more people, the merrier, right? Also, if you are on YouTube and you have that link, listen, send it out to 10 of your good friends that love logic, that love knowledge, that love wisdom, that love understanding, right? That love a good adult conversation. People love grown and sexy conversations. People love to go places and what's going on, the mystic. People love to articulate and express themselves, right? That's part of what's missing. Critical thought is a part of what's missing, especially with the term. I deal with the term sapio a lot, right? Put a one in the chat. I had to take off my stuff, but put one in the chat if you know what the term sapio deals with. If you are even a sapio yourself, if you love intellect, sapiosexual, that's typically what people say, right? It's just a person who is turned on by intelligence, but it doesn't really have to be sexual. Sapio can be a lot of things, right? You can just be a person who just loves knowledge, you dig? And having these conversations, there you go, Fika. Having these conversations, there you go, Mystic. Having these conversations, it stimulates you in a way like no other, right? And we all need that stimulation, right? In society, we don't get that stimulation enough because if we did, maybe as a collective, we'd be moving different, right? So yeah, so that's what it is that I do. So I appreciate y'all. Like I said, Facebook, repost, send it to the DM, YouTube, send out that link. Let's get some more people in here. So I'm gonna get started by showing you guys a little something that I was inspired, that inspired me to have this build today, right? Because I had been hearing, one of my brothers had asked me, attraction and I'm gonna put that up there. That's absolutely right. Attraction and intelligence. One of my brothers had asked me, well, a few of them had. Somebody had approached me and said, "Man, what do you know about the Iran and Iraq, or the Iran and Israel battle?" And I don't know a thing. I really don't, because I'm so busy focused on me and what I have going on, and also my community in particular. So I get it, and I keep up with international relations to a degree, but I hadn't really kept up with this. Right, the last thing that I knew about was Zelensky, and I did a build on Zelensky. If y'all go back, right, and so Los, I see you, King Los, and so I didn't think anything of it. I didn't think nothing. Let me turn my hat around, right, so y'all can see the kid a little bit better. So yeah, I didn't think much of it at all. I didn't think a whole bunch of it. And so then another one of my brothers said, "Yo, this whole Iran thing could get crazy, man. This is something that could affect us for real." And I thought to myself, "Damn, that's the second brother." And these are intelligent brothers. The people that I rock out with typically are sapio. They might not be sapiosexual, but they absolutely have an attraction, like the queen said, Fika, an attraction to intelligence. And so that's how we build, right? We build inside of intelligence. And so I was thinking to myself, damn, that's interesting. That's super interesting. But and so I was like, man, this is crazy. And so what it made me do, as I was scrolling, or I was on Instagram, I saw something that caught my eye. And I said, "Oh wow," because I respect brother, and I respect, his intelligence. I always tell people, when brother hits, he hits, right? When he hits, he hits. When he's on, he's on. I don't agree with everything the brother says, but when I agree, I absolutely agree. So this is the illustrious, the notorious, the King Kong consciousness, the Prince of Pan Africanism. This is none other than our brother, Dr. Umar Johnson, right? You guys know who Dr. Umar is. Super intelligent cat, child psychologist, been doing it for years. I respect the God. I do. But I saw this and it motivated me, right? It says World War III. I cannot say for sure, but the Israeli Iran conflict may be just the event that the global elite needs to trigger World War III in order to create the chaos necessary to implement the New World Order. If America is drawn into the war and China follows suit, this can lead to attacks on American soil and a disruption of life as we know it. The American African people must start having disaster preparedness meetings. I'm going to read that again. The American African people must start having disaster preparedness meetings. Make sure your sons have their passport so they can leave the country if Congress implements the draft. There hasn't been one since 1973. Start stocking your emergency food and water supplies. And I thought to myself, wow, that's interesting. That's very interesting. You know, and I'm gonna show some videos to give you guys a little bit more context on, the actual flow of things, what's been going on, kind of give you guys a history of, America and, Israel and Iran and all that crazy stuff. But when I saw that, I thought to myself, huh, how often do we talk about disaster preparedness? How many of you guys, if you've been camping, if you are a camper, put a one. If you go camping, if you've been camping in the last 2 years, put a one in the chat. If you've never camped, put a two in the chat. If you've been camping in the last 2 years, put a one in the chat. If you've never camped in your life, put a two, right? And so I thought to myself, wow, how often do we have disaster preparedness meetings, right? How often do we get those items? I can remember you guys when Y2K happened, right? I was a youngster. But when Y2K, y'all remember that when Y2K happened and the sky was falling, everybody was stocking up on water. Everybody was stocking up on batteries. Everybody was stocking up on all these mission essential items, right? And it was such a craze and it was such a strong movement that the store shelves were bare, right? Like old Mother Hubbard in her cupboard. You dig? They were bare. And I remember my father was living at that point, and I remember we watching on TV, and I'm like, Pops, what you think? He like, man, ain't shit gonna happen, but the corporations that make the flashlight, the batteries, and the water, they just about to come up. That's it. Nothing else, son. The day after they say the sky gonna fall, the bill's still gonna be due. And what happened? The bills were still due. But nonetheless, it brings me to my point. My point is this: if you stay ready, you won't have to get ready. It's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. Now, I'm gonna show you guys, I'm gonna give you guys the context behind what's been going on, right? Because I'm sure if you like me, that's not something that you were super concerned with, right? But it's good to be aware because we have had leaders that have been telling us you need to prepare for quote unquote Armageddon. You need to be prepared if there's a drought, right? Dr. Claude Anderson said that food was going to be it's going to be a famine. He said that it would be a drought. So guess what? We need to have certain things available. We need to make ourselves familiar with things so that if we do have this war, if Armageddon does happen, because it's not like it's so far fetched that it cannot happen. America is not an infallible nation. We can be attacked as well. We saw that on 9/11, right? So we can absolutely be attacked. So what happens when we are attacked? What happens when you can't go to the supermarket and get them chitlins that you like? When you can't get that hog maw, that cornbread? When you can't get all these items, what happens then? Right? What do we do? Can we still live off the land? Are we a agrarian people the way we were, the way our great grandparents were? Right? Maybe some of our grandparents. Can we still live like that? Right? Are we even having meetings? Are we going to PTA meetings? Shit. Forget the disaster preparedness. Are we going to meetings about the babies? Right? These are all things that we need to keep into consideration, because as we can see, it's getting real out here in the battlefield. So I'm gonna play something for you guys. I'm gonna share something else. Let's see. Let me read a couple of comments. Speaker says, we've been stocking up on water for years. If you stay ready, you won't have to get ready. That's right. That is correct. That's so correct. And listen, you can get filtration systems, right? You can get heirloom seeds that will reproduce. They're regenerative. These are seeds that will plant vegetables, and those seeds will now sprout other seeds, right? These are alive electric beings in the seeds. These are things that will be necessary if something breaks out. But I want you guys to know exactly what the temperature is, what the climate of your world is, because it will have a trickle down effect. Thomas says she's never been camping. Okay. Hey, I took my son camping a few years back and I loved it. And I love being off the grid. And I'm gonna show you guys something. I'm just reading y'all's statements, right? I appreciate y'all. Again, this is a dialogue, right? You guys are absolutely learning, you guys are absolutely viewing, but it's a dialogue. It's not just a monologue. And whatever you guys put on the screen, I will respond to. Your local stores such as Home Depot and Walmart has prep and evacuation kits. There you go. There you go. There you go. Absolutely. This is the king, right? It's the general. He says, stay ready. You gotta stay ready. You have to stay ready. Have to. Hey, look, that also means exercising your Second Amendment right to bear arms in practice. Go to the range, right? Go if you live out on land where it's safe and you can build, sandbags, or you can where it's trees, or it's not people for miles, you can even practice back there, because that's necessary. Again, remember that gardener in the war, or that warrior in the garden. But let's take a look at we're going to take a look at how a lot of this started, right? A little bit of the history between the US and Iran. So I want y'all to check this out. Add to the stage. And I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all for coming through and rocking. All right, let me get this.
History. In 1953, a U.S. and UK supported coup who ousted the country's first democratically elected prime minister after he tried to nationalize Iran's oil industry. In his place, a Western-backed monarch, Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, ruled. For a time, the U.S. was considered an ally. In 1957, the two countries signed a nuclear cooperation agreement. Later, the U.S. provided Iran with a reactor and the uranium to fuel it. President Nixon visited in 1972, but dictatorship and corruption led to unrest and revolution. In 1979, Iranians ousted the Shah. Their leader, Ayatollah Khomeini, formed a new Islamic Republic. Students would later storm the U.S. Embassy. They held more than 40 Americans hostage for 444 days. It left old wounds and the scars we see today. Iran has called for the destruction of Israel, and the U.S., the great Satan. For now, the world waits for what happens next.
The great Satan. That's what they call in the U.S., the great Satan. That's what a lot of countries call the U.S., right? Listen, um, I want to read to you guys just a little something before we go into the books, before we go into the videos. This is one of my favorite books. This is mandatory reading in my home, you guys. The Message to the Black Man in America by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. This is one of the most profound books ever put out, ever to be in publication, because it deals with a whole lot of things that are relevant and present in this day, to not only really to black to the black man, but really to the whole community, to the black community, right? But listen, it says a house doomed to fall. We cannot deny the fact that the Christian West is responsible for this universal corruption in the land and the sea. From the same corruption that their own hands have wrought will come their doom. The Christians preach that they do not do and cannot do, such as love thy neighbor. I have as yet to meet one who loved his neighbor as he did himself. Thou shalt not kill. I have as yet to meet such a Christian. They even fight amongst against each other, rob and kill each other, but yet represent themselves as world peacemakers. With whom? The great deceivers of the world will reap what they have sown. Have they not corrupted many people and nations under the false disguise of good, peaceful, loving Christians? The Christian West is full of the worst crimes, practicing evils and indecencies to the fullest and seeking to practice them on other nations as well. Universal tempters ever parading before the world their bold, half nude girls and women. They are before your eyes in almost everything, regardless: murder, gambling, robbery, drunkenness, drugs, adultery, lying. There is hardly any end to it. Their land and seas are filled with deadly weapons of war. Their islands of the sea are filled with corruptions by all the nations of earth. For they are proud and boastful and are now hated and despised according to their wishes. Their religion, Christianity, is a curse to us, the black man, and is full of slavery teaching. They have poisoned the Bible with their adding to it and taking from the truth. Now doom is in sight. It is their own work. They rule the sea with powerful, deadly ships, parking them off the shores of the homes of other nations. They secure air bases on foreign soils to park deadly bomb-carrying planes within striking distances of those whom they think to be their enemies. Is this not the easy way to make enemies? Is this the act of a real Christian? The followers of Jesus, whom they preach, came for the peace of mankind and to teach the sheathing of the sword and the turning of the other cheek? Where is a good Christian among this race? They love meddling in other people's affairs. They are in every fight or war, regardless of with whom or where, but yet crying peace, peace, with every deadly weapon of war, brandishing them before the nation as a dare. Shall not the God of peace and justice deal with such troublemaking people as he did with those before you of old? I warn every one of you, my people, fly to Allah with me. As I warned you, the judgment of this world has arrived. Get out of church and get into the mosque and join on to your own kind, the nation of Islam. The house you are in shall surely fall and never rise again. That was our brother speaking through me, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Now, I'm not going to tell you to come out of the church. I'm not going to tell you to run into the mosque, but I am going to tell you to pay attention to the signs, whatever it is, whatever spiritual system that you believe in. You best pay attention to the signs and what's going on around you, because what you're going to find is, whether it be the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, whether it be the Honorable Noble Drew Ali, whether it be the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, they are all going to tell you of the coming of the end times, right? They're all going to explain to you this is what need be done, because, hey, look, the world is not getting any more compassionate. And as the nations heat up and as that Fahrenheit rises, the people in the middle, the small people of the nation of whatever countries are battling, they will be the losers, right? And so that's what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is telling you. Even if you don't necessarily subscribe to the religion or any religion, that's fine. But don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Listen to the truth, right? Get attach on to your own, right? Accept your own and be yourself, right? So that you can move forward in a strong manner. Listen, let's look at what was said. Let's look at that speech. He made a speech. Our president made a speech about the bombs, right? About what happened. So just this is for you guys who haven't seen, maybe didn't see the speech, and it's not that long. I want to say it's 3 minutes.
A short time ago, the U.S. military carried out massive precision strikes on 3 key nuclear facilities in the Iranian regime: Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. Everybody heard those names for years as they built this horribly destructive enterprise. Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier. For 40 years, Iran has been saying death to America, death to Israel. They have been killing our people, blowing off their arms, blowing off their legs with roadside bombs. That was their specialty. We lost over 1,000 people, and hundreds of thousands throughout the Middle East and around the world have died as a direct result of their hate. In particular, so many were killed by their general, Qasem Soleimani. I decided a long time ago that I would not let this happen. It will not continue. I want to thank and congratulate Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. We worked as a team like perhaps no team has ever worked before. And we've gone a long way to erasing this horrible threat to Israel. I want to thank the Israeli military for the wonderful job they've done. And most importantly, I want to congratulate the great American patriots who flew those magnificent machines tonight, and all of the United States military on an operation the likes of which the world has not seen in many, many decades. Hopefully, we will no longer need their services in this capacity. I hope that's so. I also want to congratulate the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Kane, spectacular general, and all of the brilliant military minds involved in this attack. With all of that being said, this cannot continue. There will be either peace or there will be tragedy for Iran far greater than we have witnessed over the last 8 days. Remember, there are many targets left. Tonight's was the most difficult of them all, by far, and perhaps the most lethal. But if peace does not come quickly, we will go after those other targets with precision, speed, and skill. Most of them can be taken out in a matter of minutes. There's no military in the world that could have done what we did tonight, not even close. There has never been a military that could do what took place just a little while ago. Tomorrow, General Kane, Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth will have a press conference at 8 a.m. at the Pentagon. And I want to just thank everybody, and in particular, God. I want to just say, we love you, God, and we love our.
We having them technical. Hold on, we having a technical difficulty. Let me put this back.
A great military, protect them. God bless the Middle East. God bless Israel, and God bless America. Thank you very much. Thank you.
God bless the Middle East and God bless America. Woo! Let's read some of these comments. Let's read some of them. So let's see. The Queen, my sister said, rule number 1 is deception. You got to go into that deeper, sis. You got to break that down. Let you build on that statement, because that sounds like it's very interesting. Absolutely. The number one rule is deception. Politics is a very devious, very Machiavellian by nature type of concept, right? Governance over massive people, mass, droves of people. Absolutely, there's going to be some deception. One of the books that I love, one of my favorite books, I loved it so much that I got one of the tenets or the concepts tattooed on my arm, was The Prince by Machiavelli, right? Nicola Machiavelli, not Tupac's Machiavelli with a K, but the Italian political writer from the 16th century or the 1500s, right? Nicola Machiavelli. It's better to be feared than loved, but he also deals with deception. So, Mystic says, shaking my head. Hey, what were you shaking your head for? I think I saw you right there, Mystic, as Mr. Trump, as our president, our great president, was speaking. And let's see. The queen says, shaking my motherfucking head. Woo, y'all feel strong. I can tell y'all some Trump supporters off up in here today. Woo, make America great again. I can see it. No, but hey, I wanted to show you guys that context, and this goes deeper, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen. This goes deeper than Donald Trump, right? That's why I wanted to show you the context early. This is something that has gone back for years, right? This is more than Donald Trump. Donald Trump is just stepping in, like he said. He's had this on his mind for a long time. So this has been something that has been circulating on the political landscape for a while, and I think we saw precursors to this because you heard what he said. Well, I'm gonna show you another video of him talking, just a clip of when they asked him out on the White House lawn. I'm gonna let you see what he said. But he's wanted peace. He's wanted, hey, let's stop this. And also, I understand that Donald Trump was backed by Israel, right? He's backed by Israel, and so this is going to this is it's almost typical. I get it. I absolutely get it. And do I hate that it happened? Absolutely, because I want my children to be able to go outside and play without the threat or without the worry of there being a nuclear or missile attack in one of these major cities, right? But I also understand, man, we live in such a nation that these things come along with living here, right? You don't get pleasure without pain. You don't get the pleasure of something without having the pain of the responsibility for it. And that's how I look at it, right? The mystic says the fact that he actually thought he disrupted anything. It was noted all personnel and weapons were moved to an unknown location. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to show you. That's a very great point, Mystic. I'm going to show you guys something else, right? Just a few more things, and then I want to get into this disaster preparedness. But this is the context. This is the backdrop of what, you know, what motivated this bill that we having right here today. And again, I appreciate you guys coming, for all 80 y'all. Listen, say what's up in the chat. I know 4 people. I got my man RB. I got the sister Fika. I got Mystic. Yup, I think I know who that is. I got Miss Thomas. You dig? Big Wise. Los King Los is up in the place to be. And so I let me put this on. Life don't stop, like Puffy. I thought I told you that. We don't stop, won't stop, can't stop. So it's still, as I'm doing this, I'm still doing different things. But look, here's something different, right? Here is what Donald Trump had to say 5 days ago, right? This is what he said. Lowe said 2009 Brooklyn's instant. Hold on, let me see. Before I play it, I'm gonna read what King Lowe said. 2009 Brookings Institute. Which path to Persia? This was planned a while ago. Hey, send that on. Send it through. So listen to what Donald Trump has to say. I think they're on the line. He got his brand on, the supreme intelligent, super savvy businessman that he is. He got that brand, right? Make America great again. Listen to what he has to say.
Very simple words. Very simple. Unconditional surrender. That means I've had it. Okay, I've had it. I give up. No more. Then we go blow up all the all the nuclear stuff that's all over the place there. No, they had bad intentions. You know, for 40 years they've been saying death to America, death to Israel, death to anybody else that they didn't like. They were bullies. They were schoolyard bullies. And now they're not bullies anymore, but we'll see what happens. Look, nothing's finished until it's finished. You know, war is very complex. A lot of bad things can happen. A lot of turns are made. So I don't know. I wouldn't say that we won anything yet. I would say that we sure as hell made a lot of progress. And we'll see. The next week is going to be very big, maybe less than a week, maybe less. But is there anybody here that said it would be okay to have a hostile, very, zealots really, but to have a hostile country have a nuclear weapon that could destroy 25 miles, but much more than that, could destroy other nations just by the breeze blowing the dust. You know, that dust blows to other nations and they get decimated. This is just not a threat you can have. And we've been threatened by Iran for many years. You know, if you go back and look at my history, if you go back 15 years, I was saying we cannot let Iran get a nuclear weapon. I've been saying it for a long time. I mean it more now than I ever meant it. Yeah.
So he's saying right there, he's telling the people, listen, you shouldn't be like Los pointed to. He said the Brookings Institute, Which Path to Persia. This was planned a while ago. Now I'm not familiar with this Which Path to Persia, but you just heard the president say, I've been saying that for years. This is nothing new. I've been saying that Iran can't have any nuclear weapons. So this is something that's been, again, on the political agenda. This is something that's been up for debate. And this is something that was probably inevitable, good people. It was probably inevitable. Now, the last thing I'm going to play for you guys before we get into disaster preparedness and what we can do to stay prepared. This is something that was breaking news from just an hour ago, right? Just an hour ago. Just an hour ago. Let's see.
We're following breaking news. President Trump says that Israel and Iran have agreed to a, quote, complete and total ceasefire. Alex Plitzes joins us now. He is a senior fellow with the Atlantic Council's Middle East Programs Scowcroft Middle East Security Initiative and leads the initiative's counterterrorism project. He's also a former Pentagon official and previously worked on the Iranian nuclear program during his time as a Department of Defense civilian. So, Alex, what more can you tell us about this ceasefire?
Thanks so much for having me. So it reflects, I think, what we saw earlier in terms of the retaliation from the Iranians. They took 5 days to respond to the targeted killing of Qasem Soleimani during the first Trump administration, in which they launched ballistic missiles at our bases in Iraq. But there was a small number, no one was hurt or killed, and President Trump made the decision not to respond at that time. So I think they took that into account when they looked at what happened, and they wanted an off-ramp for the crisis here, but they needed to save face. So they launched a number of missiles earlier today that corresponded, according to them, to the number of bombs that were dropped on the Iranian nuclear sites. There was a heads up given to the Qataris ahead of time, which was then, communicated to the United States. And as a result of that, they were shot down. There were no injuries. So it was clear they wanted an off-ramp for the U.S. The Israeli Defense Forces had previously stated that they would be looking for an off-ramp if Iran was willing to do so. And it looks like now behind closed doors that they've agreed to that, and it should take place around midnight Eastern. So all in all, today's events point towards a de-escalation and off-ramp that the Iranians have agreed to.
Alex, looking back over the weekend, why was this Operation Midnight Hammer important for the U.S.? And now with this potential ceasefire, from a mission standpoint, was it a success?
So it's yet to be seen whether or not it's a success. There are some mixed reports as to whether or not the Fordo facility, the deep buried one, was completely destroyed. That was built specifically to withstand a conventional military strike on purpose because it was a clandestine program. So it was important to be done for a few reasons. Once the decision was made to go ahead and start conducting military operations, which the Israelis did and notified the U.S., they kind of got halfway through. And if you notice the nuclear targets, they left Fordo until the end for a reason. The only way to really penetrate and actually destroy the underground facilities in Fordo would be using what we call a massive ordnance penetrator, or an MOP, that would be dropped from a B-2 stealth bomber. And so the other options would have been conventional bombing from the Israelis and potentially a follow-on ground raid by commandos, which would have been extremely dangerous. You could have had folks that were either kidnapped or, death and injuries, and then perpetuate the conflict. And I think when the Iranians decided they weren't going to negotiate in good faith, the IAEA came out with reports suggesting that the Iranians were engaging in clandestine weapons activity. The president, I think, decided he was not going to let this continue in perpetuity, and instead of risking it going on, he was going to finish it to the extent that was possible now. And so the decision was made to strike.
What if recording high-quality content, editing like a pro, and streaming like a star was as simple as hitting record?
All right. Well, as you mentioned, Alex, we don't clearly know the status of Iran's nuclear program right now, but what else can you tell us from your experience working on it?
Sure. The Iranians have been deceptive and duplicitous in this program since its beginning. I mean, the facilities themselves, as we saw with Fordow, were built under mountains with reinforced concrete, specifically to avoid being hit with weapon systems. If you've got a peaceful energy program or one for research purposes, you don't do that. The tunnel entrances were 90 degrees because a cruise missile can't do a 90-degree turn at Mach 1.2. They knew what they were doing. The IAEA report found, material at undeclared sites, which the Iranians couldn't explain, and it's been this cat and mouse game. I think, the biggest problem was that the JCPOA, the original Iran agreement that the Obama administration struck, afforded the Iranians the technology to be able to enrich uranium domestically. And they decided to exploit that generosity for weaponization purposes. And that's where it really became a problem. So for folks who are listening, if you're unsure of what everyone's talking about, were they close to a weapon or was it a breakout point, here's really what it means. The uranium is found in the ground as a natural element, as a stone. And what you'll do is grind it up into a powder. It literally is yellow in color. It looks like yellow cake mix that you can buy at the grocery store. You then heat that into a gaseous state, and then you put it into a centrifuge. And if you've ever taken a bucket of water at the beach or the pool and spun it in a circle, the water sucks to the outside of the bucket due to the centripetal force, and you end up with a vortex of air in the center because water is heavier than air. So uranium is found in a concentration of, give or take, about 1% U-235, which is the fissile material, and 99%, which is U-238, which they don't really use. So since the U-238 is heavier, if you calibrate the centrifuges correctly, it sucks the U-238 to the outside, leaving the 235 in the center. And if you cascade that from one centrifuge to the next, it'll increasingly purify the uranium to where you end up with more U-235. And that's why when you hear highly enriched uranium at 60%, it's gone through that process until you get to 60% U-235. The same technology with slightly bigger arrays and some more advanced tech and software will get you from that 60% all the way up to weapons grade at 90%. And so the Iranians were well on their way to development of the fissile material necessary for a weapon. And that's where we found ourselves. And when they get to that point, if they disperse the material all over afterwards, it becomes a much more difficult military problem set. And unfortunately, the decision needed to be taken at that point to strike. And their decision to engage in clandestine weapons activity is what drove that decision.
All right.
I'm going to stop it right there. It said that their clandestine nuclear weapon cultivation is what caused them to strike. I want to put on here, hold on. The sister said, the nerve to call others bullies is very bold, very deceptive. It's 9/11 all over again. So how can I say this? I understand it. I've pulled back, right? Like I was saying, Fika, like I was saying, sis, certain things are going to happen when you're living in a superpower, when you're living in a hegemonic state, right? There are going to be conspiracies. There are going to be deceptive plans. There are going to be all kind of things. And that's not necessarily my focus, right? Because you're right. America is, like I was reading, like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us years ago, America is in people's business. America has a very hypocritical record, right? And you could even expand it from America. You could say the Western hegemonic or the global North, those developed countries, right? Those superpowers, right? That extract materials, that extract resources, whether manpower, whether minerals, whatever, right? they're always going to um, move in such a way that it's going to be the weak do what they can and the strong do what they want. And the United States is absolutely a superpower that has been doing what it wants for years. And it happens under every regime, brothers and sisters. Let me say this, because a lot of times we get into personality worship and personality blame, right? Donald Trump is a fascist. Kamala Harris is a hero, right? We have to look at it from this angle. Politics as a whole is one structure, one unit. So they are all essentially the same. They all have the same agenda, same objective, same goal, which is to uphold that hegemonic power that is the United States. Now, they might go about it differently, right? They might articulate it more smoother than others. They might seem more regal in their jargon, right? Barack Obama. But when you look at their policies, when you look at some of the things that they engage and that they authorize, you'll find the same amount of blame. And I just say that because I understand and I hear so much. I hear so many people that are simply against Trump. Not to say that that's you, but they're simply against Trump just because they don't like how blatant and blunt he is. They don't like how direct and how unapologetically MAGA he is. I don't care about none of that, right? In fact, like I be telling people, I respect it because I know where he stands, right? But my whole thing is, and you have a point, right? For one bully to call another person a bully, that's crazy, right? Um, my thing is just in between all of it. Yeah, that's right. Between all two wings on the same bird. Absolutely. Between all of it, brothers and sisters, we still have to between all of it, we still have to uh take care of ourselves. We still have to be ready, right? Regardless of who's in office, which is a great segue into this point Chris Cross is making. Peace, Queen. How do you think Kamala would have handled this conflict? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. And honestly, that's not even something that like I was saying, that's not even something that I really would spend a whole bunch of time trying to figure out because it wouldn't matter. Again, people we get blinded by personalities, right? We get blinded by the messenger that we don't really focus on the message, right? She might have, being a Democrat, she might have been a little bit more diplomatic, right? She might have, uh, and I would have to look up what the Democrats, what their relationship was with Iran, how they were handling Iran, right? What their talks were with Iran. But it really, regardless of how they would have, regardless of how she would have handled this conflict, right? She might have done something different that I might not have necessarily agreed with, right? Just because by nature, the nature of politics. You see what I'm saying? That's really not my focus on how would Bush have handled it? How would Clinton have handled it? It matters not. It really doesn't matter. We're here now. It really matters not. Again, we still, regardless of who's in that White House resident, we still have to get ourselves together. We still have to be prepared for disaster, right? And again, one of the brothers I spoke with, who was like me, he's like, "Hey, I can, Trump is all right. I deal with Trump. Yeah, I rock out with him because I agree with a lot of what he says, and I agree with what he's doing, or a lot of things that he's doing. But hey, he might have went about this. He might have got trigger happy, right? He might have went in a little bit too aggressively. That's what I'm hearing people say. Man, what is he doing? Why did he do that? Hey, I hope to answer your question, Chris Cross. It sounds great. However, Iran has not confirmed the ceasefire. If we know the history of Iran, they don't take a knee easily. And that's exactly why we're here, Mystic. What you're saying is so insightful and profound. That's exactly why I'm doing this bill, because it matters not. It doesn't matter about Trump anymore. It never matters about Trump. It matters about you and your community and how you're responding, right? How you're preparing yourself. We don't control the government, right? We do not. And so we have to be ready, though, in the best way that we can to respond to what the leaders are doing, right? I used to tell people, for those of y'all who are new to the platform, new to my bills, I tell people, you know, local government is much better because you have much more you have much more agency in local government. Your alderman, your mayor, your city council, your school board meetings, all of these things are tangible, touchable. These you can have a direct impact in. You can make a real dent. National politics, it takes money, right? It doesn't take votes. It doesn't take marching. It doesn't take protesting. It doesn't take good intentions. It takes money, amalgamated money, money put together, right? So, yeah, that I'm hey, my father used to say, pray for the worst, but pray for the best, but prepare for the worst. This is a part of that worst, right? This is a part of getting prepared. King Lowe said, these decisions are above both parties' head. That's why you're not. That's why you've seen few Democrats condemn the action. There you go. There you go. There you go. You haven't. You haven't seen a lot of them come out because, like I said, like we were saying, Fika, two wings on the same bird. It really matters not who's the spokesperson, whether it's a red spokesperson or a blue spokesperson. Who cares? We still need to be able to move collectively and move together and move forward now, in a insightful and in a beneficial way to our well-being. Now I want to show y'all something. I did something. I learned about something, right? Chat GPT is, you guys can do a lot with Chat GPT. They're gonna be delivering babies with Chat GPT before it's all over with. But you can get a lot of great ideas. You can get a lot of great answers from Chat GPT. And what I did was I said, you know what? I'm gonna ask Chat GPT. I saw somebody do this in a room I was in on X one time. I'm gonna go to X, and I'm gonna go to Chat GPT. Excuse me. I'm gonna go to Chat GPT and type something in. Right. I'm gonna type in. Here are several important categories. Well, that's what it gave me. I said, what are some items I can discuss in regards to disaster preparedness, such as heirloom, water filtrations? These are things that we need, right? And this is what it gave me. Here are several important categories and specific items you can discuss when preparing for disasters. These cover physical safety, health, communication, emotional well being, and recovery, right? So, number one, essentials for survival. Now, this is worst case scenario, right? This is Armageddon. This is the sky falls. This is assuming, like, who was that said that? Somebody said, uh, that was Mystic that said, Iran does not take a knee easy. So what she's saying, or what Mystic is saying is, that person saying is, hey, they could very well retaliate because that's been a part of their reputation, right? So let's say they retaliate. I read somewhere where they were talking about a terrorist attack happening since that U.S. strike happened on those three bases. There could be a terrorist attack, and we don't know what kind of attack it is. It could be, cybersecurity. It could be bio, where we're eating, consuming something, right? It could be a myriad of things. But let's say that they return fire with fire. Let's say, hey, look, like someone said in the comments, hey, everything had been evacuating. They found nothing there. What if there was an offsite? We're hoping that that's not the case, but just thinking steps ahead, thinking about the worst. What if they put their missiles offsite somewhere, right? What if they circumvented it because they had intel what was getting ready to happen, or they just sensed it and they have it somewhere sitting, and now they have a reason to now strike. They have a reason to now attack one of these cities, like Donald Trump said, like the president said. These are a few things that we can remember, right? Essentials for survival: water filtration and storage, portable water filters, right? Life Straw, right? Sawyer. These are different brands of portable water filters, right? That you can get. And I would say look into this stuff. Get it. It's better to need. It's better to have and not need than need and not have, right? Water purification tablets, right? These tablets help to, like you said, it's pretty self-explanatory. It helps to purify the water, right? Because if you live in a major city, you understand that a lot of the water that you drink is already toxic anyway. I remember when I was a kid, we used to go to the faucet when we play outside, just put our mouth up under there and let the water splash all on us. You can't do that now. You can't drink tap water. You damn near gotta bleach it like it's the damn pool. So water purification tablets, collapsible water jugs, or 55 gallon drums. All things that you can look into, all on Amazon. Y'all know it. The mighty, mighty Amazon will have each and every one of these items for sale. Food, freeze dried meals, or MREs. Now, being a military member, I'm gonna tell y'all those meals ready to eat are not the most healthy. They're high in MSG, they're high in sodium, they're high in chemicals because they have to preserve them, right? But push comes to shove, you do need to have MREs. You can get maybe a healthier option. I'm pretty sure they have better than what they gave us in the Air Force. But you need to get familiar with them because again, if push comes to shove and you don't have access to a farmer's market or a supermarket, right? If Kmart gets, I mean, if Walmart gets blown up, then you have something that you can give to your family, right? Canned goods and manual can openers. Who use manual can openers anymore? Ain't nobody using that. No, you need it. You need it. Canned goods and manual can openers. Long shelf life items like rice, beans, oats. How many of you guys, there's 9 of us in here. How many of you guys eat these things on a regular basis? Rice, bean, oats, right? Put a one in there if you have some of that with each and every meal. If you have some of this food, right? The rice, the beans, the oats at every meal, if you have it, put a one in the chat, please. Portable stove or solar oven. I would have to look up the I would have to look up the portable stove and the solar oven, but I'm pretty sure that that's something again on Amazon that you guys can check out, right? That you guys can check right all the way out. So, shelter and warmth, emergency blankets, Mylar, right? These are some blankets. I'm assuming they're gonna keep you warm. Look at I see you. I see y'all in the chat. I see you, Thomas, Miss Thomas. I have dry goods for sure. Okay, that's what's up. Uh, tents or tarps? Tents or tarps? A lot of us don't see tents and tarps unless we go to the tailgate with the HBCU college. You know, the step show, whatever it is they be doing. That's the only time we see tents or tarps. But hey, get familiar with a tent and a tarp. Get a tent, learn how to pitch it, just in case you have to put one up. It's great. It's a great skill to have. It might be a necessity, and it also builds up family bonding. Right. This is something that you can do with your family, your children, your relatives, your loved ones, and you can build. Right. You can begin to now build that bond and closeness. Hand and foot warmers, right? You might need these things because you might be in a shelter or you might be somewhere that is extremely cold, like Chicago or Detroit. And you need these things, right? If we off the grid, health and hygiene, first aid kit, trauma supplies, tourniquet, clotting gauze, right? OTC meds, ibuprofen, antihistamines. These are those generalized meds that they hand out over the counter, right? Prescription medications, uh 30-day plus supply, right? Sanitation, right? Hygiene kits, soap, feminine products, ladies, toothbrush, you know, waste disposal, bucket, toilet, liners, lime. That lime is going to kill a lot of that rust and it's going to stop bacteria from building up, right? You can use lime in your everyday life if you have stone like I do. Hand sanitizers and disinfectants. That's something else, right? People, I see these things. It's like almost in vogue to have this stuff now, right? To have the hand sanitizers, uh And so, yeah, important documents and heirlooms, documents, IDs, passports, birth certificates, insurance papers. Hopefully, you guys either have a safe, a briefcase, some sort of reliable container for these items, and you'll need to keep them in hand just in case you have to grab them and go, right? Emergency contact list. I forgot what they call it in the no, I didn't. In the Air Force, they call that a family care plan, right? A family care plan. Family care plan, excuse me. In other words, if you had to leave, who would you leave your kids with, right? Who was emergency contact? Who do you trust? Flash drive or waterproof binder with copies. Hey, you might be somewhere close to water. It might be raining. You might be in good old Florida, Florida. Heirlooms, digitally scan or photograph family keepsakes. Fireproof, waterproof box of irreplaceable items. Family photos, letters, and cultural items preserve identity and history. These are things that you want, right? Communication and power. Emergency radios, hand crank, and solar powered radio, NOAA weather alerts, right? You need to know what's going on outside just in case you got to stay inside. And welcome. I see it's 11 of us in here. I appreciate you guys. If you're on Facebook, please, please, please repost, send it to the most people that you can think of. And if you're on YouTube, hey, click that link. First of all, like and subscribe to the Lead with Logic podcast. But this live that you're on right now in this moment, take that link and send it out to your people because I think they're going to enjoy it. In fact, I know they will. You dig? Power, solar chargers, power banks, extra batteries, AA, AAA, USB rechargeable. Yes, all of that good stuff. And I see you, Los. Personal protection, security, flashlights, headlamps, pepper spray, or personal defense tools, just in case the fool's trying to break in, right? Durable gloves and masks, N5, N95 or respirator, right? And then transportation and navigation, maps, physical, not just digital, gasoline storage, if safe and legal, bicycle or alternative transport, car emergency kit, jumper cables, flares, tire sealant. These are just basic common sense items, right? That we should keep on us, that you should make sure that you have, right? And of course, you adjust as necessary, right? With a lot of the, some of these items you might need 3 or 4 of them, but some of them you might need 30 or 40 of them, right? You might want to get 4 or 5 water filtration. You might want to get 100 canned goods, right? You might want to get 30 or 40 MREs just in case. Again, better to need and not have than have and not need. I mean, have and not need and not have. Excuse me. Right? It's Monday, but community and planning, family emergency plan, meetings, meeting locations, roles, distress words, all of these good things, right? That's the meetings that Dr. Umar was talking about. Are you educating your family? Are you keeping them abreast of what needs to happen, right? From the smallest to the biggest, right? From the youngest to the oldest. Everybody needs to be on the same page. We all do. Neighborhood preparedness groups. How many of you got hit a 1? Give me a 1 in the chat if you know at least 5 of your neighbors' names in your community, whether it's your house, your apartment, your townhouse, your estate, wherever. Give me a 1 if you can name 5 of your neighbors in your community. Give me a 1 in the chat. It's 9 of y'all teetering on 10. Give me a 1. Evacuation routes and shelter knowledge. Evacuation routes and shelter knowledge. Oh, come on, y'all. I ain't seen no 1s yet. Maybe I'm hoping that my signal is delayed and they're gonna pop up like boop 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 boop. Give me a 1 in the chat if you can name 5 of your neighbors in your community. And that's important, right? That's important because, hey, listen, you never know when you can help somebody or they can help you. So it's good to build that rapport. If it's nothing but a general rapport, right? It's good to, when people move into your community, man, if you can, it's good to go over there, take them something, right? Have a peace offering. That's a strategic thing you can do because now, you have now created and taken control of the frame, right? Whatever energy that you initially project, they will remember that, right? It's always beautiful when you can make a bomb and dope first impression. Okay, I see you. I figured that. Yeah, 5 of them, 5 neighbors. That's good, right? I only saw 1. So listen, if you don't have 5 of your neighbors. Look, 5 of your closest relatives, 5 of your closest friends, 5 of your closest associates. Y'all should be in talks of this. Y'all should be discussing these things. Only 4, and I can't stand one. Hey, it's all good. Look, when the revolution comes, hey, when we have to do what we need to do, man, we're gonna be in there with some people that we don't deal with. It's gonna be some people that we don't necessarily like, but hey, we have to bite the bullet. We have to do what we can do, and man, keep it moving. But yeah, really, I just say that to emphasize, man, community act, not community activism, but community activity, right? Group uh, group cooperation, right? Us working together for something greater, because you know there's a ceasefire, but I mean, hey, like Donald Trump said, I won't say anything is not possible. I won't say that we won. You know, so mental and emotional resilience, books, journals, games, comfort items for kids, toys, stuffed animals, spiritual or cultural symbols, right? That means y'all can bring y'all's black fist. That means, you can have the Juneteenth t-shirts with you. You might want to take that book with, message to the black man. You know what I'm saying? Take that stuff, stuff like that, man. Books and journals, I think, is dope, and games for your resilience, right? For your spirit, keep your spirit high. Games are great building blocks to keep people's uh mental fresh and light, right? And so, especially in a harsh circumstance, when you're in the military, if you're in the military, you notice you've been downrange, and you've been in a situation where it was very serious and intense. Those games come in as a lifesaver. They help us, because man, when we so focused on the mission, and we are so focused on surviving and staying a step ahead of the enemy, whoever or whatever that is, man, you need something to lighten your load so that your mind don't explode. You dig what I'm saying? Because you can get so serious, and you can get so intense in the mind where your shit could explode like a volcano, right? And you come unglued, like the old people used to say, "Oh, he came unglued. He came unglued. He came unglued." Um, so yes, that's really what I wanted to read to you guys, man. I wanted to go over that stuff, because as we can see, we cannot control our government, brothers and sisters, but we can only control ourselves. We can have control of our communities. It's crazy that we don't take any steps toward what we can deal with, right? It's always funny to me, if we're not taking action in the way that we can, if we're not doing the best of all that we can, then we really can't be mad about people that are, right? We really can't be upset when people are doing things that we don't necessarily agree with, that we don't necessarily align with, right? I don't vote, and so I don't get mad at what happens, right? I don't vote in the national elections. I don't vote for independent. I don't vote for Republicans. I definitely don't vote for the Democrats. But I try not to. I don't complain either, right? I look for the resolve. I look for the resolution. What can I do? Me, right? As long as I keep it in that aspect, I feel good about myself, because at least I'm saying, you know what? I can take some sort of action, right, to resolve this tension, to ease whatever this is. It might not totally annihilate it, but it is an effort. It is some energy that has been extracted, or that has been deployed out to help the situation become better than what it is. Let me look at some of what y'all are saying, right? Because I appreciate y'all, man. Y'all rocking out with me. Hold on, I'm gonna go back up. Let me go back up. Speaker says she got dry goods for sure. Yeah, absolutely. That's great. That is wonderful. Spit kit. Okay. A spit kit. Figure you got to write what a spit kit was. I don't. I don't remember. Maybe we showed it in there, but you put spit kit. Oh, you put LOL. So maybe we did show it. Ivermectin is a good med deals is a good med deals with many different infection types. Is on the World Health Organization list of essential drugs. That's another thing. Look for the different agencies and what list and what essential drugs, what essential foods, what essential items that they have that you can, that you can find and match that up to Amazon, right? So that you will be proactive. Again, when you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. The Queen put definitely. Miss Thomas put definitely will share. Okay. King Low said a shortwave radio. Yep. Also learn how to actually read a map. You mean I can't use GPS? They read maps before it was GPS navigation? Dang. Ooh-wee. That must have been like in the Stone Age, Mystic. That must be what Fred Flintstone and them did, because I don't go nowhere without my ways. You dig? No, I'm messing with you. Absolutely learn how to read a map. Absolutely. Listen, people done forgot phone numbers. I bet y'all don't even know 10 phone numbers in y'all phone. Y'all couldn't even give me 10 phone numbers other than the people that's maybe in your house or your brother, sister. But people outside of that, people don't remember the phone numbers no more. They just be like, oh, let me call such and such. So you're right. Absolutely learn how to do that map. Deuce love. Blessings, Lee. Good point. I have two neighbors and we most definitely look out for each other. That may be a discussion that we have in the near future. Listen, man, it can branch off into so many different things. Again, it can start and be something beautiful. That small seed can be planted and grow into a huge forest, right? So yeah, man, y'all could do that. Y'all could discuss a whole heap and helping full of things, man. I know a lot of times people work and a lot of times people see others in passing, but it's a difference between a neighborhood and a community. Your neighbor is just an individual neighbor, a person that occupies the house, but a community is people who are working together, who have agency and control, right? In community, you can't say community without saying unity, and you have to get to know people to build that rapport, to build that unity up. So, hey, brother love, I would say do that, bruh. Yeah, do that. Take that into consideration. Have that conversation. That person, your neighbor, will absolutely appreciate it. I'm telling you. That's very true in reference to prepping and survival. Community will be imperative more than ever. Absolutely. Absolutely. We will not make it without, right? I wanted to show some videos. I remember a video that I saw of Muhammad Ali. He was being interviewed by this sister, and she was all nervous because it was Ali. And he told her, look, uh, it's gonna be famine, you're gonna be hungry. Get down to your local mosque, right? Because people gonna be starving. You ain't gonna have nothing to eat in your El Dorado. And they were laughing, but it was some seriousness to what he was saying. He was really just saying, look, you need to get with your people, man. You need to cling on to your brothers and sisters, and y'all need to figure out a plan so that if something happens, we won't be out here hungry, because it's nothing worse. It's one thing to be hungry, but it's another thing to watch your baby scream in starvation because they ribs is touching and wrestling and twisting over each other. So yeah, absolutely. We need to stay ready, and we need to find that community, right? Build that community so that when something happens, we feel more confident and at ease that we are already ready, right? And we've stayed ready. So yeah, I appreciate it. Fika, let's see what you said. Let's see. Tapping into herbalism healing is key too. Absolutely. 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 Do they still make maps? Absolutely. I think they do. Hey, bro, I still see that. I still see the newspaper on my driveway every morning. So I'm assuming they do. And then, you go to different rest stops when you travel in the country. And, you see that little bin and it has the different maps, right? The different states. So they still make maps. Just get one, man. And you can even print one off. Print a map off. See if you can print one off, or go to Barnes and Noble, or go to Amazon, buy a book of maps. I have some maps around here, some paper maps, but I'm gonna have to get some so that I can, if nothing else, like you said, just get in the habit of reading, so that skill, when it has to be summoned, that you can absolutely use it, right? You do push-ups. People who are might be training for a sport, they do a lot of different things, right? That might not be that, related to the sport, like push-ups, sit-ups, so that when they need that muscle memory, when they need the muscles to kick in, they can use it. Same with the skills, man. You might not be using it every day because you got the GPS, right? You got these technological advances, right? But when you need it, when you need to utilize that skill, hey, you can absolutely utilize it. You can absolutely call and rely on it because you've been doing it. So, and it's neat. Again, if nothing else, it's bonding exercises for your family, right? Yes, they do still. Yes, they do sell them. Absolutely. Tapping into herbalism, healing is key. I got you. Motor Carrier Atlas gives you detailed breakdown of every city. It's a trucker Bible. So the Motor Carrier Atlas. Did y'all hear that? Motor Carrier Atlas. That's something that you guys probably should look up because that will give you the back ways and the, hey, every major vein and artery of the city. It's a movie out there, y'all, with one of my favorite actors of all time, Mahershala Ali. It's called The Green Book. The Green Book was actually a book that Black people used to travel throughout the South. And in this Green Book, it pointed to different Black owned establishments, right? Because imagine now you got to travel from Georgia all the way to Arizona, right? It's no missing the South. You got to go through either Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas, one of those, right? And we know those are considered deep South, where we know we can have problems. Where this this Green Book, excuse me, will show you where you could go and use the bathroom, where you can go and get a hot meal, because otherwise, it was for a long drive, right? You was peeing on the side of the road, you was putting leaf to ass, excuse my language. But getting sounds like Motor Carrier Atlas. Now it's not as intense or severe as the Green Book, but it will show you those ways that you can get from point A to point Z in a very safe and timely and knowledgeable fashion. So yeah, absolutely. Motor Carrier Atlas, y'all. Y'all look that up. And again, Amazon is a beautiful, beautiful thing because everything is probably listed on there, and you can probably get it at a good price, especially if you got Prime. We got Prime, boys. Taking notes. Listen, 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 listen. I appreciate y'all, man. I appreciate y'all for coming out. Man, another one, another nice bill in the books. I appreciate you guys. Again, I'm gonna put this into the chat because I would love for you guys. I would love for you guys to go on over and support leadwithlogic7.com. Go on over, take your buddies and your pals over there, see what it is that you can find that you dig. You'll be supporting none other than Lead Brother Faheem himself. And I would really appreciate it. I would really appreciate it. Before we get out of here, let me see. King Low said we need a new updated Green Book, Underground Railroad map. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think we do too. I think we do. For instances such as what's going on now, we need to know where the North Star is, where we can get food, where we can get those essential items, right? Where we can get lodging. If it hits the fan, we need to know who has all of these things. It's almost like the Army surplus store, right? I love the Army surplus store because you can go in the Army surplus, you guys, and get socks. You can go and get you can get camo. You can get all of those things. Sometimes I think they even sell rifles and weapons. All those beautiful things that we can need that can help us, right? So yeah, I see y'all. Great bill. Absolutely. Yep. Thank you. Great bill. Yes. Great message. Thank you. Listen. Like Minister Malcolm would always say, May we meet again in the light of understanding. And I want you guys to always remember, always remember to lead with logic. Peace and love, y'all.